Hello, in this video, we will discuss the evolving dynamics between Russia, China and the Western world. We know that the Ukraine conflict, the expansion of NATO and Russia's increasing isolation have led to a closer strategic partnership between Russia and China. The Ukraine conflict has created a significant rift between Russia and the Western world. The Western nations have imposed unprecedented economic sanctions on Russia and have extended their full support to Ukraine. This isolation has forced Russia to seek alternative alliances and partnerships to counterbalance the pressure it faces from the West. Not to forget the expansion of NATO. When Finland, a neighboring country of Russia, officially joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, it brought the US military presence even closer to Russia's doorstep. This development undoubtedly heightened Russia's concerns about its security and further strained its relationship with the West. Now here's where the concept of the enemy's enemy is a friend comes into play. China, being the biggest rival of the United States, has become an attractive partner for Russia. The increasing isolation of Russia from the West has pushed it towards leaning on China as a means to counter the combined power of the Western nations. Russia and China have recognized their shared strategic interests, particularly in challenging the world order led by the United States. This convergence of interests has bound them together in a close partnership. They have found common ground on various fronts, including economic cooperation, military exercises, and diplomatic support. The partnership between Russia and China holds significant implications for the global balance of power. It challenges the traditional Western dominance and introduces a new dimension to international relations. By aligning their interests, Russia and China aim to counterbalance the influence of the West and shape the world order according to their own vision. Their shared discontent with the US-led status quo is bringing them closer together. They have signed several bilateral agreements spanning the domains of security, economy, and technology. Russia has ambitions to restore its past glory. By the way, the desire to regain influence and prominence in the global arena is not unique to Russia. Many nations have similar aspirations. However, Russia's focus on Ukraine has been a significant point of contention in recent years. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine are examples of Russia's actions aimed at re-establishing its influence in the region. On the other side, China's vision involves the reunification of Taiwan with its mainland. The Chinese government views Taiwan as a renegade province and considers its reunification as an essential component of its national interest. China's rise as a global power and its growing economy might have emboldened its aspirations to reintegrate Taiwan, which it sees as an unresolved issue from the past. Both Russia and China share a common dissatisfaction with the existing world order, which they perceive as dominated by the West. Their discontent stems from what they view as an unfair distribution of power and influence, where their interests are not adequately represented. This frustration has served as a driving force in bringing these two countries closer together. However, we cannot overlook the asymmetrical nature of their ties. China's economy is over 8 times larger than that of Russia, making it the dominant partner in this relationship. Nevertheless, Russia sees China as a country that has stood by its side during its difficult times, leading to a deepening of their strategic partnership. Because of Russia's dependence on itself, China has been able to gain a significant advantage by capturing Russia's consumer market with its inexpensive products. Russia's growing trade dependence on China has opened the door for China to exploit this situation to its benefit. China has been able to capitalize on Russia's vulnerabilities and expand its presence in the Russian consumer market. In addition to gaining a strong foothold in Russia's consumer market, China is also leveraging Russia's dependence for other strategic gains. China recognizes that it can use Russia as a means to secure discounted gas and oil, access sensitive technologies, and ensure its entry into the Arctic region, which holds significant resources. Furthermore, China sees an opportunity to expand its influence in the resource-rich Central Asian states through its ties with Russia. Russia has long maintained a notable presence in the politics of Central and West Asia. This presence, coupled with China's growing influence, presents a unique dynamic in the region. However, it is crucial to recognize that this relationship between Russia and China is not entirely one-sided. While China may benefit from Russia's trade dependence, Russia also gains certain advantages from this partnership. For instance, Russia can tap into China's economic prowess, rising influence, and financial resources to support its own development initiatives. Nonetheless, it is important to approach this complex relationship with caution. The dependence of one nation on another in key areas such as trade, energy, and technology can create vulnerabilities and potential imbalances. As Russia continues to navigate its trade relationship with China, it must carefully consider the long-term implications and ensure that its own interests are safeguarded. The convergence of Russia's political engagement and China's economic expansion creates an interesting interplay that could shape the future geopolitical landscape. For instance, let us take the example of Africa. Both Russia and China are expanding their presence in Africa. Russia's increasing friendship with African countries is an important aspect of its foreign policy. Over the years, Russia has been cultivating ties with various African nations, seeking to establish political, economic, and military partnerships. This growing engagement is driven by a desire to assert influence in regions where Western powers have traditionally held sway. One area where Russia has made significant inroads is in supplying military equipment to African nations. It is estimated that almost half of Africa's military equipment comes from Russia. In addition, Russian private military companies such as the Wagner Group have also established a foothold in the continent. Russia's involvement in Africa's military sphere has raised concerns and accusations of meddling in domestic politics. There have been allegations that Russia interferes in the internal affairs of African nations and extracts concessions related to the exploration of valuable resources like gold and diamonds. These accusations highlight the complex nature of Russia's engagement and its pursuit of strategic interests in the continent. Beyond the military domain, Russian companies have been actively operating in Africa, particularly in sectors such as oil and gas, mineral extraction, and even nuclear energy. Russia's presence in Africa's oil and gas industry is notable, with Russian companies involved in exploration, production, and infrastructure development. This engagement allows Russia to secure access to energy resources and diversify its energy markets. Furthermore, Russia's involvement in mineral extraction aligns with its quest to secure key resources. We know that the African nations are rich in minerals, including copper, cobalt, and rare earth elements. Russian companies have been actively involved in mining activities, often forming partnerships with African governments or companies to exploit these resources. This engagement provides Russia with crucial raw materials for its industries and strengthens its economic ties with Africa. Another significant endeavor is Russia's involvement in nuclear energy in Africa. Notably, Russia is participating in the construction of nuclear power plants in Egypt. Such projects signify Russia's desire to expand its nuclear technology capabilities and strengthen its position as a major player in the global nuclear energy sector. It also presents opportunities for economic cooperation and technological exchange between Russia and African nations. Similarly, China has been significantly involved in Africa for quite some time. It has pursued an active economic and diplomatic agenda on the continent, investing heavily in infrastructure projects, trade agreements, and resource extraction. China's engagement in Africa is multifaceted, encompassing economic cooperation, political alliances, and cultural exchanges. Basically, Russia and China view Africa as a battleground where they can challenge the historical dominance of Western nations and reshape the global power dynamics. By strengthening their presence and partnerships in Africa, Russia and China aim to expand their own spheres of influence. Access to key resources is another driving factor for Russia and China in Africa. Through strategic partnerships and investments, Russia and China aim to ensure a steady supply of resources to fuel their own economic development. In this pursuit, they have not hesitated to even support autocratic regimes in Africa to further their strategic interests. They have not shied away from engaging with governments that have faced criticism for their human rights records or lack of democratic processes. While this approach may be controversial, Russia and China prioritize their own interests and seek stability and cooperation with African nations to further their geopolitical objectives. China's establishment of a military base in Djibouti and Russia's pursuit of a naval base in Sudan are clear indicators of their growing presence and ambitions in Africa. Such bases serve strategic purposes, allowing countries to project their military power, protect their interests, and expand their influence in the region. It also signifies their willingness to establish a physical presence outside their own borders for strategic and logistical advantages. The growing closeness between Russia and China has undoubtedly shifted the global landscape. The combined strength of these two major powers presents a formidable challenge to the Western-led world order. As the relationship between Russia and China continues to evolve, it will be crucial to closely monitor its implications for global politics, security, and economic dynamics. I hope you got some insight on the evolving Russia-China axis. Thank you for your time.